Verbs. Now let's see what are verbs. The moment somebody asks what are verbs, most people they say verbs are action words. But let's have a look at this sentence. This is a Kate. She looks beautiful. Here we know that is and looks. These two are verbs. But you ask a question, what action are they doing? They are doing no action. So verbs, of course, most of the verbs are action verbs. But from the example, we see that there are many others which do not give us or do not show us any action. So verbs, some verbs, they give us only the state or the occurrence of a noun, apart from the action. So first of all, let's see how to identify whether a word is a verb or not. Suppose there is a word in this box and you have to find out whether it is a verb or not. What shall we do is that before that word just put should or to. I prefer to because it's very short to write. Okay. So let's say one word is here, climb. Can we say to climb? Yes. It sounds okay to hear the word to climb or to speak the word to climb. It means that climb is a verb. But suppose instead of climb we put mobile. Can we say to mobile or should mobile? It sounds odd. It doesn't look okay. It means mobile is not a verb. So this is how we identify a word is a verb or not. Just put should or to before the word. And if it sounds okay, it is a verb. Here, mobile is not. So let's see here, to eat, to sing, to dance, to be. These are all verbs because before we put to before these words, they sound okay. Now let's see these words, writing, joins, are, part. These are all verbs, but how do we know? Let's see. Can we say to writing, to joins, to are, to part? Even though we know these are, let's say, verbs, to writing, it sounds odd. Similarly, to joins the remaining also. Why? Because in order to put to before any word, we have to change the word to its root form or the base form. So writing root form is write. Similarly, join, be, and part. So instead of to writing, it should be to write, to join, to be, or to part. Now it sounds okay. It means these words were verbs. Now let's have a look at this table. You look at the words on the left side. Join, climb, write, sing, play, and eat. They all give us action. Whereas those on the right, they show us no action. The action is not visible. So we have two kinds of verbs here. One is action and one is linking. As you can see from here, this group is what we call action verbs, where you can see the action happening. But those on this side here, linking verbs, like thinking, think or decide, learn, love, seem, like, the action is not visible. So these are what we call linking verbs. So there's a difference between action verbs and linking verbs. So verbs can be action or linking. So let's see here. I eat rice. Yes. I eat rice. Yes. It's action. I am doing the action of eating. He joined the broken pieces. Yes, join. Yes, it is an action word. It's an action verb. The action is visible. Birds fly. Same here again, action. I love you. Here is linking. Why? Because to love someone, the action is invisible. Similarly, I like apples. Like is linking, and learn also linking. So verbs can be action or linking. Let's see here again. Julie looks tired. Julie looked at me. The man looked angry. If we observe these three sentences carefully, let's see the first one. Julie looks tired is a linking verb because Julie is doing no action. But if we look at number two, Julie is doing an action. She is doing the action of looking at me. So here look is used as an action verb. Again on the third one, the man is doing no action. He simply appears to be angry. So it is linking verb. So how do we decide whether a verb is action verb or linking verb? Very easily. Let's see whether we can change the verb with be verb. Okay. You look smart. Let's see whether you can change this with a be verb, means an appropriate form of the verb to be. So you look smart. You are smart. Yes, we can change. That means this look is a linking verb because we can change it with a be verb. You are smart. Similarly, the room became dark. We can change it to the room was dark. So it was a linking verb. So this became was a linking verb. So we can change it with was. Similarly, my uncle remains still young. It can be my uncle is still young. Number four, the boys appear well built. So appear can be are. The boys are well built. So these verbs were linking verbs. This is how we identify whether the verb is linking or not. If we can change it with an appropriate form of be, then it is definitely a linking verb. Otherwise, it is an action verb. Now let's come to another kind of verb that we call helping verbs. What are helping verbs? Let's observe these sentences. Birds fly in the air. Yes, birds fly. This verb is the main verb. The verb has got only one and it is the main verb. But if you look at the remaining here, I'm eating rice. He has joined. The boy can play well. The girl does not sing well. Here these are the main verbs. Eating, join, play and sing. And apart from the main verb, from number 2 to 5 we have got another verb. This is what we call helping verb. And this helping verb is sometimes termed auxiliary verbs. So helping verb and auxiliary, they are the same. Let's see the list of auxiliary verbs in English. We have only 4 verbs: to be, to have, to do, and the modal auxiliary verbs. Of course, each form has got its forms, its different forms, such as to be has got be, is, am, are, was, were, been, or being. Similarly, to have has got have, has, had, or having. To do has got do, does, did. Doing will not come here. Doing will be an action verb, and the meaning would be slightly different. And modals we have can, could, may, might, shall, will, would, should, and must. So these are the list of auxiliary verbs in English language. Now coming to transitive and intransitive verb. So let's look at this sentence. He left a book. He left what? You ask the question what or who to the verb. If you get an answer, here you get an answer. He left what? A book. So a book is an object. So it is transitive. So the verb is transitive if it has or it takes an object. Here the object is a book. Let's look at next sentence. Birds fly high in the sky. Birds fly what? Or birds fly whom? No answer is there. But we have where it flies, how it flies. So this one is intransitive because it has no object. And let's look at this sentence again. I sang the boat. The ship sank in the ocean. Let's look at this too. I sang the boat. I sang what? I sang the boat. I did the action of sinking. And I sang the boat. The boat is the object. So this is transitive. Similarly, the same verb again, look at number 2. The ship sank in the ocean is intransitive because the ship did not do the action of sinking, and that's the ship sank has no object here. It only shows where it sank. Similarly, number 3, she played well. She played what? No object. Yes. It only shows how she played. So this is also intransitive because it has no object. But if we look at number 4, she played. She played what? She played football. Means football is the object. So it has got an object. That means it is transitive. So from these 4 examples, we see that the same verb can be used as a transitive or intransitive verb. It doesn't. So it means that verbs are neither transitive nor intransitive. They are simply used transitively or intransitively. It depends on how we use them. Now coming to reflexive verbs. Let's observe this sentence. He hung himself to death. And the dog licked itself clean. You look at these verbs. After hung, okay, he hung whom? He hung himself. So the subject and object is the same person. Means the verb is used as a in its reflexive form. Similarly, the dog licked itself. Itself is the dog. So when the object and subject is the same, and that time we call the verb is in reflexive form. And how to identify reflexive verb is that we will always find a reflexive pronoun following the verb. Let's see here the list of reflexive pronouns here. You see list of personal pronouns are here given here on the left side. I, you, again you in plural form like this, and they are reflexive pronouns. This is what we will find in reflexive verb sentences. For I, we have myself. For you, yourself. But if you is plural, yourselves. For he, himself. She, herself. It, itself. We, ourselves. They, themselves. One, oneself. So these are, if you see these reflexive pronouns, that means the verb in that sentence would be reflexive verb. Here in the 2 sentences here, himself is here, itself is here, reflexive pronoun. So next, coming to verb forms. So let's see how many forms of verbs are there in general in English. There are 5 forms: base, sometimes called root, S form, sometimes we call it third person singular form, past form, then ing form. Ing form is also termed present participle, and passive form. And passive form is also called past participle. Let's see, identify them. Suppose the verb is look. The base is look. Of course, its S form is looks. Past form is looked. Ing form looking. Passive form or past participle form looked again. So you see that the S form is formed by adding the letter S. Similarly, past form is formed by adding ed to the verb, and ing form by adding ing, and passive form or past participle form by adding ed. So this pattern is followed by all the regular verbs. So if you observe here, number 2 here, the S form, as well as number 4, the ing form is the same for all the verbs, whether it is regular verb or irregular verb. But the past form and the past participle or the passive form might be different if it happens to be irregular, which we'll come to later on after some time. Now let's see the difference between regular and irregular here now. Regular verbs here, examples are here in the base form, play or dance. Their S form is plays or dances. Just add S to the word. The past form, we know In regular verbs, we add ed, so it's played and danced. ing form or present participle form, we know we form it by adding ing, so playing and dancing. And passive form or past participle form, we know in regular verbs we add ed, so it played and danced. But look carefully at the irregular verbs examples here. I am giving you two examples here: sing and go. Their S form, we know regular and irregular, it's the same. We add the letter S, so sings and goes. But look at the past form here. Instead of adding ed, for sing it became sang, for go it became went. So we cannot predict it, we have to learn it by rote. Again, ing form is the same for regular, irregular, so we add ing, so singing and going. But again, look carefully in the last form, past participle or the passive form. Instead of adding ed, it becomes sung and gone. So for irregular verbs, okay, this S form and ing form is the same, similar with the regulars, but the past form and the passive form, we cannot predict it, we have to learn it by rote. That is why we do not learn S form and ing forms in most of the grammar books. We are given only 3 forms to memorize when you are given the list of irregular verbs: base, past, and past participle. Example, you see here: sing, sang, and sung; go, went, and gone. This is how it is. We see most of the list of irregular verbs in grammar books. As we'll see here, you will find something like this in most grammar books: arise, arose, arisen, beat, beat, beaten, become, became, become, like this. You look at the last one: cut, 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 no sense at all. So we have to learn all this by rote. And the first is the base, of course, we call it root also, and this is the past form, and this is the passive form or past participle. So this is the forms of verbs in English. And now let's come to finite and non-finite verbs. What are finite verbs? Finite verbs are verbs which senses is formed when we sense the number, person, or tense, number, person, or the subject, or the tense of the verb. If it is non-finite, it's a non-finite, it doesn't sense its form when we sense the number, person, or tense. That's the difference between finite and non-finite. Finite, we sense the form of the verb when we sense number, person, or tense, but it doesn't if it is non-finite. Let's see examples here. I play cricket. If I, we change into she or he, it becomes plays. So it changes its form if we change the person, number, or tense. It may be I am playing also if it is present continuous. So when we change number, tense, or person, it changes its form. So play here is used as play here is a finite verb. Similarly, the bird flew over the trees. We can say the bird is flying. We can change the tense, in the form also changes. So this is finite. Here, I am a teacher. This, if I we change into he or she, it is. So am will change into is. So this am or be verb is a finite verb. Now let's come to non-finite verbs. What are non-finite verbs? Examples here. I'd rather play cricket. However you change the person or the tense or the number here, play will remain play. I'd rather, she'd rather, they'd rather, always followed by play, not playing or played. Come to number 2. He wanted to fly a plane. If we change into I, it will be I wanted to fly. She wanted to fly. They wanted to fly. So it never changes. So to fly here is a non-finite verb. I would be a teacher. She would be a teacher. I will be a teacher. Whatever you change, be remains be. So this is a finite verb here. So same verb can be finite or infinite, non-finite, depending upon the use. So now let's study the non-finite verbs in detail. Most of the verbs we have studied are finite. So let's observe carefully the non-finite verbs. Non-finite verbs in English, okay, are infinitives, gerunds, as well as the participles. Now, what are the infinitives? Infinitives are what we call two infinitives. Any verb that is preceded by the letter to. Example here, to play, or let's say to sing, or to go. Sometimes to is not there in infinitive. So when to is not there in infinitives like play, sing, to, go, okay. The first one with to we call it to infinitive, and without to we call it bare infinitive. So these are infinitives. Now coming to gerund. What are gerunds? Gerunds are ing form of verbs or present participle forms of verbs used as nouns. Let's see example here. Walking is good for health. His skating is remarkable. Here walking and skating are verb forms used as nouns. Walking is good for health means the act of walking is good for health. Similarly, skating is noun. So these are what we call noun, gerunds. Gerunds are ing forms of verbs acting as nouns. Now coming to participles. What are participles? Participles can be either ing form or past participle form, but they act as adjectives most of the time. Let's see examples here. Shaking his fist at me, he walked back to the car. Shaking here is used as participle. It acts as an adjective. What kind of fist? Shaking fist. So this shaking is adjective, is acting as adjective, so it's participle. Again, look at here. The candles lighted in the living room looked very gay. The candles, what candles? Lighted candles. Okay. Here, lighted is past participle acting as an adjective. So this is participle. That's the difference between gerund and participle. Gerunds, they act as nouns. Participles, they act as adjectives. Now let's study infinitives. We'll see gerund as well as participles also after we finish infinitives. So look at these infinitives. To sing, to eat, to dance, to come, to go. Here, look here. These are all followed by to, the preposition to. So it's what we call to infinitive. And what follows that to is the non-conjugated form of verb, or let's say the root or the base form of the verb. And without to, we call it bare infinitives. And now let's see the examples here. I'd rather sit on the back. I prefer to sit at the back. You see, the first one is bare infinitive without to. The second one is to infinitive because it has got to. To infinitive is easier to identify. Bare infinitive, we have to look a bit more closely. And now let's look here. To infinitive and bare infinitive, they also have got their different forms. In perfect form, continuous and past perfect. So this is the base form. So let's see perfect form. To have played, for to play. Continuous, to be playing. And past and perfect continuous form of infinitive to infinitive is to have been playing. And for bare infinitive means without to. This is the same form minus the preposition to. Have played, be playing, and have been playing. So you look at this sentence. I like to play cricket. You see, to play is in the past. Can you use this form here after to? No, it's wrong. After to, it should be always the root form. So this is wrong. Let's see more examples here. Let's identify the infinitives here. The first one, it's a pity I missed that program. I like to have, yes, here, to have seen. This is infinitive. Number two, you'd better have finished, have finished. This is perfect infinitive without in the bare form. Number three, the weather seems to be getting. Yes, to be getting is continuous infinitive. Number 4, I'd rather be lying. Yes, this is continuous form. On the beach, then stuck in the traffic jam. The man appeared, yes, to have been drinking. Perfect continuous form of infinitive here. Let's have a look at more examples. You see number 1 here. This is perfect. Number 2 is also perfect form of infinitive. If you look at number 3, it is continuous form. Similarly, number 4 is also continuous form. The last one is perfect continuous form. Now let's have a look about infinitives, and it is reference to time here. I am pleased to meet you. Here, to meet, this is simple infinitive here. Here also simple infinitive. When these are what we call simple infinitive, and when we use simple infinitives, it refers to the same time as in the main clause. Here the main clause is I am pleased or you were lucky. The first one is present, so you are pleased at present and you meet. I'm pleased at present and I meet you at present, the same time. And number 2, you were lucky. You were lucky in the past tense, means to win. You won it in the past tense. So it happens at the same time as in the main clause or the main verb. Let's have a look at number 3. I like to have seen. Here this is perfect infinitive. In perfect infinitive, we are talking about something before the time in main clause. Let's see here. You like means I like here, my desire is at present, but the program is in the past. So this is about perfect infinitive, something before the time in the main clause. I like at present, but the thing that I like was yesterday. The program was yesterday here, example. Number 4, you are lucky to be winning. This is continuous form, continuous infinitive. And in continuous infinitive, they are in the same time as in the main verb, but the thing is it goes over a period, over a period of time. And number 5, I'm glad to have been living in India. This is perfect continuous infinitive. And perfect continuous infinitive we use when about a time before the main verb, but at the same time happening over a period, just like in perfect continuous tense. Now let's talk about negative infinitives. I'd rather not sit in the front, and I prefer not to sit in the front. You see here, not comes before the infinitive. It should not come after the infinitive. Look at these 2 sentences. I told you not to go. Another one, I told you to not go. Let's see the difference. Here, this is the one that we generally use when speaking or writing. Let's see, it means I told you to stay. If we look at number 2, I told you to not go, it means not comes here after 2. Here, I didn't say go. So the meaning is different. We generally use the first one. Let's identify infinitives here. My job is to teach students. Yes, to teach. One way to achieve, yes, to achieve is success, to see. Again, here another infinitive. Number 3, he is afraid to give. Yes, to is there, to give. I'm proud to have been. Yes, to have been one of your friends. Number 5, will you help me edit this video? Edit, this is a bare infinitive. Strive, not to be, yes, to be is here. A success, but to be again here. So these are the infinitives. Let's continue here. Number 7, was the bullets fly? Fly is, it's just like saying was the bullets to fly. So this is infinitive in bare form. Was the bullets fly when matrix starts? Plants need water to grow. To grow is infinitive. It's almost time to sleep. To sleep is infinitive. I like to hear. To hear is infinitive. To be frank. I'm glad to quit. To quit is infinitive. It is better to have laugh. Yes, this is infinitive in the perfect form. And lost than to have never laugh. Never just includes negative, but the verb is to have laugh. So these are the infinitives. This is how we identify infinitives. Now let's come to gerund. What are gerunds? As we have discussed earlier, gerunds are ing forms of verbs that function as nouns. Let's see here. Walking is good for you. Walking is acting as a noun. His skating is remarkable. Just like we can say, his football is remarkable. Football is noun, but similarly, skating is also noun here. His skating, his toy, his book. So gerunds are ing forms of verbs functioning as nouns. So let's identify gerunds here. Number one, jogging is good for health. Yes, jogging is noun here. Gerund. Heart singing. Yes, heart singing is very pleasant. Seeing is believing. Yes, seeing. Believing again coming here. Both are gerunds. Seeing is subject. Believing is complement. Number four, drinking, driving. These are acting as nouns, but ing forms of verbs. So these are gerunds. I love what swimming. This is object acting as a noun, ing form of a verb. So it is gerund. He somehow managed to avoid hitting the other car. Yes, hitting. This is again object to the preposition. So this is gerund. And now lastly, let's come to the participles. Participles. When we study the forms of the verbs, we see that the verbs have got 5 forms: base, s form, past form, ing form, or present participle form, and passive form. Sometimes we call past participle form. Out of this is how we form this, as we have seen earlier, by adding the letter s, ed, ing, or ed. Out of these 5 forms, this is what we call. This 2 is what we call participles. Number 4 is what we call present participle or ing, continuous form. And the ed form, the last form, is passive form or the past participle form. So participles are only 2, the last 2 forms, ing form and ed forms. But that ing form should be acting as adjectives, not noun. If it is noun, it should be gerund. Let's see more here. This past participle form, if it happens to be irregular, we cannot guarantee that it ends with ed. It may end with d, t, en, or any others, as we have seen earlier. So let's see more. That these participles, we have to remember that they function generally as adjectives. Of course, exceptions are there. We'll come to that. See here examples. Boiling water is hot. Boiling water. Which water? Boiling water. Boiling water. Boiling is adjective, is acting as adjective. So this is participle. See here, smiling face. What face? A smiling face. Broken glasses. What glasses? Broken glasses. So broken is adjective. So participle. I like fish cooked. What kind of fish? Which is cooked. Okay. So cooked is participle. And here she looked at my swollen eyes. What kind of eyes? Swollen eyes. So swollen is past participle. Of course, but it is participle anyway. Now let's compare gerund and present participles. We don't need to compare past participles because past participles end with ed or others, not ing. But gerund ends with ing. Present participles, they also end with ing. So we have to be careful in identifying these two. Gerunds will be acting as nouns. See here. It functions as a noun. Let's see here, since it is a noun, it can function as a subject. Example here, walking is good for health. It can act as a complement. See here, what I love is reading a beautiful story. It can act as an object of a verb, just like I like going for a walk. We can say I like swimming also. Object of a phrasal verb. Let's see here. You should give up. Give up is the phrasal verb, and object has got smoking. Object of a preposition. You see here. He turned the car without giving a signal. Object of the preposition without. Then part of a compound noun. See here. I bought a walking stick. It's not a stick which is walking. It's a stick for anybody's walking. Acting as a noun. Now let's come to participles example here. Participles, we know mostly they function as adjectives. See here examples. She always has a smiling face. A smiling face. The rise of crime rate is alarming. Is good. That's like that. Is alarming. Is adjective. So is participle. Sometimes it functions as a participle clause. Okay? Participle. You see here the boy running on the road. Which boy? The boy running on the road. So running is participle. I doze off while watching a movie. So watching here is a part of a clause, beginning of a clause. So it is participle clause. And we use participle forms, present participle forms in all continuous tense forms, be it present continuous, past continuous, past perfect continuous, whatever. All the continuous forms we use ing forms. See here, I am listening. She had been reading a book since morning. So in continuous forms we use present participle. This present participle is part of continuous tenses. So these are the uses of these are the difference between gerund and present participles. See, sometimes it happens to be just a matter of interpretation, or let's say how we differentiate a gerund and a present participle. Let's observe these sentences here. This sentence, hunting leopards might be dangerous. If hunting is a gerund, is a noun, means hunting is dangerous. Hunting what? You are hunting leopards. Hunting, it means hunting of, dangerous to hunt leopards. But instead of a gerund, if hunting happens to be a participle, it's acting as an adjective, means it's the leopards that are hunting. So this sentence would mean leopards that are hunting for its prey might be dangerous. So it is a matter of interpretation, how we want to interpret or how we want to mean what we say, whether the verb is gerund or participle. Another example here. You see these two phrases, running water and walking stick. Running water. Water, there is running. Yes. So this is participle. What running is adjective here. Acting is adjective. But if you look at walking stick, can we see a stick that is walking? No stick walks. Of course, it might be possible in animation movies, but generally it's not. Actually, walking stick is a stick for anybody's walking. So here walking is acting as a noun. So this is gerund. So we have to observe carefully and we have to think what it means. So this is about gerund and the forms of verbs. Thank you.